is likely to get much larger, given our experience with cholera epidemics in the past.
The crush of people looking for medical help is overwhelming resources already strained by this year's devastating earthquake.
Situation is terrible. Inside the hospital, they're overcrowded. They're not overcrowded. It's beyond overcrowded. They need some field hospitals put up as quickly as possible to be able to take in the amount of people they have. They need doctors. They need nurses. Okay, people are all over on the floor.
The problem is here in the water. The outbreak is caused by poor sanitation when human feces contaminate drinking water. Once inside the body, the cholera bacteria live in the bowel, secreting a toxin that causes diarrhea and vomiting.
The patient can dehydrate, and in fact they die of dehydration rather than anything else.
Driving up to Saint-Marc.
At the Montreal headquarters of Doctors Without Borders, Kate Alberti is getting ready for her 4th trip to Haiti. She leaves on Sunday.
The country it's in a long phase of reconstruction, and they're not, that's going to be a continual process for a number of years. So certainly this will just make it, what is already quite a complex situation, more difficult.
The outbreak started in a rural area north of Port-au-Prince that was not damaged during the earthquake. But there are fears the disease could spread to the city, where more than 1 million survivors are still living in crowded camps.
Over the next few weeks, the disease continued to spread. Thousands became ill, hundreds died. The poor country's medical resources were quickly overwhelmed.
In the last 12 hours, we received 114 cases of watery diarrhea. It is clear that the problem is speeding up.
And to make matters worse, fear turned to anger and riots broke out. Here's the CBC's Paul Hunter.
On the streets of Haiti, the body bags are back, and with them the agony, despair, and misery that has ripped into Haitians all year long. And even as this latest victim of cholera is taken away, another arrives, still living, but barely. Haitians are angry about it. In Cap-Haitien, Haiti's second largest city, violence has stepped up. We need a solution for this, he says. Fearing disease, gangs have set up fiery roadblocks everywhere, and lawlessness reigns. Many Haitians blame UN aid workers for bringing the cholera to Haiti, so the UN itself is now a target. Gunfire killed at least 2 people this week. Even Haitian police are now running for cover. The police have taken off their uniforms and put on civilian clothes, he says. The people burned police stations, so the police have to protect themselves. In the capital, still recovering from the earthquake, cholera has yet to strike hard, but the concern is it will soon explode here. On the capital's edge, the giant slum of Cité Soleil, cholera creeps in. Amid the anguish, that question: how far and how fast will this grow?
A couple of days later, Paul answered his own question when he visited a cholera clinic at the epicenter of the outbreak. And that answer was very, very fast. Here's his report.
Should I do that?
Yes, please, yeah.
First thing you're told coming into the place, wash your shoes to keep disease outside. There's enough of it inside already.
This is the total number. We have 650.
650 patients since the outbreak began.
Yeah.
650 Haitians with cholera in 3.5 weeks at one treatment center in one small town.
And this place is full of people with cholera. In this tent here, we have women victims of cholera. Over here, a tent for men who are sick and dying with cholera. And in this tent over here, children.
But these children are getting better. All it really takes is lots of clean fluids. The problem is people dying trying to get here, like 6 members of one family yesterday. Some die at the clinic anyway. This is the mortuary, empty today. The latest bodies were reclaimed last night. Nearby, giant vats of infectious waste fill up by the hour.
To be clear, this woman has cholera.
Yes, she has, yeah.
It is almost overwhelming. This man has cholera and pneumonia. This man threw up in front of us. eye hurt, one of the children told CBC. The German Red Cross, which runs this place, says the stream of new patients is constant.
Do you have enough resources to deal with what you're confronted with here?
No, it's far not enough.
Health officials predict Haiti's cholera will last years. In this place today, they're practically begging for help now.
With such scenes of despair, some Canadians wondered where all the aid they sent to Haiti had gone. So Paul set out to find out. What he discovered was that while some of it is making a difference, some of it is being held up by red tape.
Somewhere out there is a container full of Canadian-funded water purifiers, enough to make clean water for 45,000 Haitians for 6 months, caught in Haitian bureaucracy since June.
$2,000 for one container and $1,800 for the other one.
So they're charging you storage while they're the ones who are delaying its release.
Exactly.
Montreal's Hassan Naim has tried 35 times to retrieve them, as government fees and taxes have sent the total extra costs now into the thousands.
Every single thing over here costs. There's nothing free.
Canadians donated generously to his group. Some of it paid off. CBC reported in March on the water boxes in action, but now he calls it corruption in a time of cholera.
Actually, we were trying to help the people in Haiti, and the government itself is actually making problems for us, helping them.
But while those water purifiers are stuck somewhere over there, caught in bureaucracy, make no mistake, some Canadian aid is getting through.
Paid for and designed by Canadians.
So this will be a home for somebody.
Yeah, it is.
This is Haiti's newest subdivision, and it's not just homes.
You'll have a market over there, a school over there, a field over there, and people living over here.
Yep. Richard Clare of the Red Cross has had no corruption issues, but he knows Canadians wonder why'd this take so long.
And we're working as fast as we can. I understand people would like us to work faster, but and you've been in this country for a while now, you've seen the logistics challenge, you've seen the roads. We're working as fast as we can with the resources that we have.
In the midst of the chaos and the despair, in late November, Haiti held a presidential election. But the vote was marred by widespread allegations of fraud, and riots broke out in the streets of the capital. So when Haitians marked the first anniversary of the quake this January, it was a sad occasion, with Haitians still burying their dead and Canadians still wondering why all that aid wasn't making more of a difference. The CBC's Laurie Graham has that story.
It's a daily battle, beating down rubble that seems unbeatable. 1 year later, it's estimated that only 5% of it has been removed. Some aid agencies say it will take at least 3 years to clear all the rubble, and years after that to rebuild this bewildered country.
There are some communities that have lost 90% of their buildings. The Haitian government lost 20% of their staff and almost all of their buildings.
But Oxfam Canada says it's not just the extent of the damage that's slowing down the progress. It blames governments and international agencies like Bill Clinton's Global Initiative for getting bogged down in bureaucracy.
The fact is that the money that is stalled and that isn't moving forward is not the hundreds of millions donated by individuals, but the billions pledged by countries. And that the governments of the United States, of France, of Europe, of Canada need to get together with the Haitian government and the United Nations and move ahead with the reconstruction plan.
Bill Clinton was in Haiti today, inspecting the work and defending his organization's strategy.
I'm just as frustrated as everybody else, but we have the Commission's job is to keep approving projects and to stay ahead of the donors. And then to say, look, here's what we approved, will you fund it? Please fund it.
Canadians have been more than willing to contribute to Haiti relief, donating $220 million. The federal government matched that and added more for a total of $770 million. But still, a year later, many wonder how the money is being spent. Today, Ottawa offered some insight.
A significant new group of projects that will also make a difference in Haiti. They will improve Haiti's healthcare services.
Ottawa says it's confident Canadian money is getting to Haitians on the ground, but adds it's a global responsibility. And most agree it will take at least a decade to rebuild. Laurie Graham, CBC News, Ottawa.
For many Haitians, that must seem like a lifetime, but that didn't stop them from coming out on the anniversary of the deadly quake to mourn their dead and give thanks for being alive. Once again, here's the CBC's Paul Hunter.
1 year after everything changed and Haitians remembered the day they'll never forget. Be it in song or prayer, it was a day for both the dead and the living. Because whether it was at this church or outside this cathedral where they gathered on earthquake rubble, or here out on the street, so many they closed off an intersection and prayed from the balconies. Wherever they were, they remembered and they gave thanks. I'm rejoicing because I'm still alive, but still so saddened, he says, by all the losses suffered by so many. But not everyone rejoiced. Where's the reconstruction, they chanted. A message aimed, in a way, at Canada's former Governor-General Michaël Jean, who joined Haitians today, now as Special Envoy to Haiti for the United Nations, underlining for reporters the sorry state of Haiti's reconstruction.
Right now, it is too slow.
And though the day commemorated the dead, here, music for police officers killed in the quake, the band marching past broken buildings, it was a day in so many ways about survivors, too. Be they Haiti's voodoo priests who came out to lament the dead, or this family visiting a Port-au-Prince grave to mourn a young man whose house collapsed on him that day. It's a terribly sad moment. I'm weak, says his father. I'm weak. But with that, a drink and a toast to his fallen son, because life, even in Haiti, will go on.
By the end of January, almost 4,000 Haitians had died of cholera, but the rate of infection was declining. Health experts warned that cholera will remain a serious problem in Haiti for many years, and the United Nations estimated that 650,000 people will still be living in camps at the end of 2011. And that is News in Review. For more on this story and others, you can visit our website at newsinreview.cbclearning.ca. I'm Michael Serapio. Thanks for watching. He was rich, he was popular, and somebody killed him with a massive car bomb. But who?
Well, when he started looking at it, he came up with the Red Network in like 2 days. It popped right out for him, which was miraculous. It was earth-shattering in terms of a revelation.
On News in Review today, the assassination of Rafik Hariri. Hello, I'm Michael Serapio. Rafik Hariri was one of the most popular politicians in the Middle East. The billionaire businessman was twice Prime Minister of Lebanon, one of the most difficult countries in the world to govern. The country is made up of four main groups: Sunni and Shia Muslims, Christians and Druze, all of whom have fought each other in the past. The country's neighbor Syria exerts a controlling influence and stationed troops there for years. Hezbollah, a Shia militia, is more powerful than the Lebanese army, and Israel has attacked the country on numerous occasions. Hariri, a Sunni, helped end a long civil war. Even after he left office in 2004, he remained popular. But on the 14th of February 2005, he was killed by a massive car bomb. The bomb went off as his motorcade drove past a hotel in the Lebanese capital of Beirut. Many Lebanese blamed the Syrians. Others blamed Hezbollah, the powerful Shia militia, and Hezbollah blamed the Israelis. To prevent the situation from causing another civil war, the United Nations set up a special tribunal to try to find out who did it. But 6 years after the bombing, the case remained unsolved. Then, in November, a CBC reporter, Neil MacDonald, discovered that a young Lebanese police officer may have solved the mystery years ago, and it cost him his life. Here's Neil's report.
These pictures were taken nearly 3 years ago at the explicit request of the man behind the desk, Lebanese police captain Wissam Eid. He'd been doing the most dangerous work imaginable in Lebanon, and he was convinced of two things: that he solved one of the most sensational crimes in his country's history, and that as a result, he probably didn't have long to live. He was right on both counts. Captain Eid's case: the assassination of former Prime Minister Rafiq el-Hariri on Valentine's Day 2005. The massive detonation tore a giant hole in downtown Beirut, left 22 people dead, and ignited worldwide outrage. The most important reformer in the Middle East, the great hope of the international community, was now only identifiable by his wedding ring.
There was a great deal of anger, incredulity in a way, of the brazenness of this move and the dramatic nature in which it took place. I mean, this enormous amount of explosive. Just the whole thing was a big middle finger to the international community.
Neither Hariri's billions in personal wealth nor his Western allies could protect him from the forces he'd provoked.
So we want to change the way the country is going.
He'd been demanding an end to Syria's brutal occupation of his country and the disarming of Hezbollah, the fundamentalist Shia militia that